Hi, I'm Caleb Feline. If you've been living under a rock for the past year, first off, I envy you. Your life has probably been much better than the rest of ours. You've missed a lot. America has a rather suspect Cheerio lookalike for president. Britain has withdrawn from Europe, or is in the process of doing so anyway. Emmanuel Macron is the new French president. New Zealand's Prime Minister stood down for no apparent reason. And it seems that no one really won the British election held a couple of days ago. And that's just in political news. Now, what I said, that's not technically true. The Tories did win, which I think everyone expected. But it was the amount by which they won that shocked everyone. They lost 13 seats in the House, while Labour gained 30, which I don't think anyone had anticipated until the closing hours of the election. It was probably because Theresa May was preoccupied with running through a nearby wheat field instead of actually campaigning. Meanwhile, Diane Abbott probably thinks that they won 300 more than the 650 actual seats. Meanwhile, Paul Nuttall did not win a single seat. UKIP did not win a single seat, proving that voters have now noticed him for what he truly is: all nut. Boris Johnson got hit in the face with a red microphone, a symbol that even microphones are now sick of listening to him speak. On to a more serious subject. I do think that the Trident debate contributed to Labour's sudden gain in popularity. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Trident is Britain's nuclear weapons arsenal, and Corbyn said that he would never use it. I think this won him more favour than anyone was giving him credit for at the time, and it did cause one of the biggest debates throughout the election. Meanwhile, President Trump presses his big red button every time he wants a Coke. I personally think nuclear weapons are the single worst thing on this planet right now. But I also understand that there are those who disagree. But Corbyn, despite what everyone was saying, probably answered this question perfectly. As long as North Korea and America continue the strategy of measuring missiles, Britain needs to remain completely out of the nuclear picture. Theresa May, however, does not seem to agree. She stood up in the House of Commons and publicly declared that she would use nuclear if needed, no matter who died in the process. For me, this was the nail in the coffin of my opinion of her, which, let's be honest, amounts to about the same as Ted Cruz's support of literally anything. Not a single damn thing. But it also seemed to change Britain's opinion of Theresa May. And I don't think she was anticipating the fallout. Now, in terms of what this actually means for Britain, it does change the way Brexit is carried out. In order to have a clean and amicable break, Britain needed to present a united front and be perfectly clear on what it was that they wanted out of this new deal. But now that they have a hung parliament, it is unclear how they are going to achieve this. If their parliament themselves cannot agree on the terms that they want to present to Europe, I don't see how Europe is going to agree to them. But none of this matters, as it's likely they'll have another election in 1 year's time, and we'll go through all this again. Yay! Meanwhile, we have also heard a testimony from James Comey. Or rather, we the public heard half of a testimony. He did reveal some juicy details, but in general, we were waiting for a bombshell that never hit. I watched the opening section of his testimony before suddenly realizing this is a waste of my time. According to Comey, he was contacted by Trump 9 times. 9! That's essentially once every 11 to 12 days. That's more often than I speak to most members of my family. And then Trump called him a leaker. No, Comey didn't leak anything. We already knew that Trump was a lying, attention-craving idiot. We just didn't know Comey knew that. In fact, Comey did the opposite of leak. Most big issues he refused to answer in the open setting. If he was a leaker, he would have just said everything in front of the public. And then Trump called Comey a liar. You can't both be a leaker and a liar. It's one or the other. You can't leak lies. Only Trump gets to do that. But my favourite part of Comey's testimony was his reasons for recording his meetings with Trump. He listed a few reasons, but let's be honest, only one was worth remembering. The individual I was interacting with, or something to that effect, because he worried Trump might lie about the nature of the meetings. Let's dwell on that for a second. James Comey is the former director of the FBI. He deals with liars for a living. He meets Trump once and goes, "This might be one of them liars." I feel like that sums up everything you need to know about Trump. Well, almost everything. Paul Ryan had other opinions. I can't recall his exact wording, but it was basically, we can't forget Trump is new to government and doesn't know what he's doing. So what? If a learner driver crashes a car, it's still their fault. Actually, no. It's the fault of the people who put them in the driver's seat. Paul Ryan was instrumental in putting Trump behind the wheel of America. And like every learner driver, he's messing with every lever and button he can get his tiny hands on. As long as he stays from the red button. Not the one I mentioned earlier, he's allowed to hit that, as long as he doesn't get confused and hit the one next to it as well. Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law, and ignorance of the Constitution shouldn't be an excuse for breaking it either. An interesting development was something that broke this morning, when Jeff Sessions revealed he would testify. At the time of writing this, I am not sure how that went, so I don't have a lot of information. I do have jokes, however. Like, how does Jeff Sessions fit in the chair? He and Comey could not be any different in stature. James Comey is 6'8". I think that Jeff Sessions is around 2.8. That's not true. I'm sure he's a little taller than that. Like 3.2 or something. But you get my point. And this has got to be far too exciting for him. We know hobbits don't like adventures. And this Russia scandal is one big roller coaster. complete with the feeling of being about to vomit. Also, what does Jeff Sessions think he's doing? He's either going to incriminate himself or commit perjury. There's no middle ground for him. He is one of the links to Russia. How is he going to get around that? He can't plead the fifth. Only guilty people plead the fifth, according to both him and President Trump. I should probably stop making Jeff Sessions jokes about now, as I'll probably be arrested for laughing at him at any given moment. So, to sum up, the world is in chaos. I suggest you once again retreat to your rock and hibernate for a few years. When you wake up, America and North Korea will have bombed each other. Britain will have attacked Iran on behalf of the good people of York. And Russia will be running the world. And I look forward to these simpler times, as Putin will have issued an order against thinking, and we'll all be mindless robots. Till then, see y'all later.